Chapter 2, Financial Markets and Institutions. Not all publisher slides from the PowerPoint are included in this narration. The full PowerPoint, not narrated, is available in your McGraw-Hill Connection resources should you choose to review it. Chapter 2 builds on the financing decision laid out in Chapter 1, the decision on how do we finance our long-term investments. This decision is also called the capital structure decision. After studying this chapter, you should have more understanding of the sources of financing funds and how those funds flow to the corporation. Along with this are definition terms of the various entities that provide the funding. The financial markets provide the funds the corporation needs for the long-term investments talked about previously. As noted here, it is often about the desire to grow, such as by introducing new products, opening new places of business, or acquiring other businesses. The source reference in this slide is about where the firm goes to get the needed funds. The structure reference is about how it will impact the balance sheet. Will the funds be debt funding, equity funding, or a combination of both? Here is a portion of Table 2.1 from Chapter 2, with bold notations added to clarify what form of financing was involved in these financing decisions made by Apple Computer. Recall that debt financing increases the firm's liabilities. It is a loan that must be repaid. Equity financing, on the other hand, is not repaid. It is an investment by owners and increases the firm's equity. Using the April 1976 event as an example, Apple obtained $250,000 in cash, which increased its assets and made funds available for capital budgeting. Its balance sheet, likewise, increased on the equity side by $250,000. In the second 1976 event, cash was obtained, although the amount is not stated, but in this case, the liability side of the balance sheet increased. From now on in the readings, savings is used as a way to refer to funds made available for the firm to acquire to meet its needs. Savers make excess funds available to the others to basically invest for them. This first example shows the flow of funds to a basic corporation, such as Apple was in its infancy. This type of entity is not publicly traded. Only certain individuals have come together and agreed to invest. Here, savers with excess funds become investors in the corporation. Their savings flows directly to the corporation. The cash is then used by the corporation. In this example, earnings are plowed back into the firm to continue helping it grow. Now, in this example, we move on to corporations that are publicly traded. More funds are needed than can be raised by the select group that initially invested in the entity. Now, all savers have the opportunity to invest in the corporation. The cash flow becomes more complicated because we require the assistance of the financial markets. Why? To facilitate bringing the savers and the corporation together. On the right are the savers, the investors. On the left is the corporation that ultimately receives funds. The main players in getting the two together are shown in the two middle boxes. First, there are the true financial markets, where stocks and bonds are traded. And second, there are financial institutions, such as banks and large holders of savings, which have large amounts of funds to invest. There are several definitions to differentiate between the markets, institutions, and those with savings to offer. The primary market is where a firm goes to seek investments for the first time. This would be the first time to offer stock for sale, for example. The secondary market is where that stock is then sold and repurchased by individual stockholders. The sequence of events is that first, the company receives funds when they issue the stock. It funds their needs. After that, there are now any number of individual stockholders. When one of those stockholders decides they want their investment returned, they don't go to the corporation that issues the stock. The corporation has no obligation to pay them back that way. Instead, the stockholder must find a willing partner to buy the stock from them at a price both can agree to. Some additional financial market definitions are noted here. An important characteristic to observe now is the difference between short-term and long-term funds. They are offered in different markets. In finances, as in accounting, we consider anything up to a year as being short-term. Although they both provide funds for a corporation, there are differences in financial intermediaries and financial institutions. Savers invest excess funds in intermediaries, usually by buying shares in the fund. The intermediary, for example, a mutual fund, then makes the funds available to corporations in various ways. With institutions, there is a difference. Savers deposit funds in a bank and they pay funds to buy insurance. The cash collected is then available for the institution to offer to the corporation. In both cases, funds flow to a corporation, and the investors expect to earn a return on their investment. Here is a further illustration of the flow of cash, showing how the financial intermediaries and the financial institutions are following the same path. Investors would be depositors in banks, holders of insurance policies, or investors in an investment fund. There is an obligation on the part of the intermediary or institution to repay the funds and earn a return for the saver. The final step is that the entities make the funds available to the corporation. Another obligation is in turn created. That is, the corporation has to repay the funds and earn a return, this time for the intermediary. It should be clear that in order for the intermediary to pay a return on the investors, they need to earn a return themselves. The next two slides provide a breakdown of the mix of financial intermediaries and financial institutions in providing funds to corporations via debt. That is, the corporation issues bonds which are a debt. Here, with debt financing, we see examples of both intermediaries and institutions. This slide shows the equity side of making funds available to corporations by the same two sources, intermediaries and institutions. Here, stock is what is offered, so that becomes equity and not debt in the balance sheet of the corporation. Notice here the weighting of participation is heavily towards the financial intermediary side, because banks are limited in their ability to invest in the stock market due to its greater risk. One takeaway from Learning Objective 2.3 is additional roles of the financial market. One is providing information to the savers who will ultimately become the investors. Here is one source of information related to debt financing. Bonds are a form of debt issued by corporations. Bonds have ratings as to their risk. The market makes assessments of risk and applies a letter code to reflect the risk they see. The saver can then use this in their decision on whether to invest in a particular bond. One thing to note is the range of interest rates and how they related to the rating. The interest rate is the return the saver will receive. Note how there is a positive correlation between the risk rating, called the credit rating, and the return. The lower the risk, the lower the return, and the higher the risk, the higher the return. This will become more apparent in Chapter 6, Study of Bond Valuation. This final slide reflects one of the first actual calculations presented in the text. It shows how the sale price of a company's stock is turned in market capitalization based on the number of shares of stock issued and the price paid for the stock. Callaway Golf issued 94.2 million shares of stock at a price of $27.30 per share. It raised $2.5 billion in cash. This concludes the highlighted portions of Chapter 2. End of Chapter 2.